What is up, YouTube? This is Chris, the Unprofessional Dad, and I'm back with another knife video. Since I started this channel, I've asked you guys a lot of questions. Daily 3 knife challenges, daily knife challenges, brand challenges, on and on and on and on. I've asked you guys a ton, and I've learned a lot from you all as well. But you guys have also asked me some questions along the way. I've gotten emails, I've gotten comments and videos and stuff, people wanting to know how I've grown my collection like I have, what choices that I've made, how I can afford the knives that I've gotten, what I do, how do I use my knives, different things like that. So I decided, since I was sitting here with nothing else to do, that I would take a few minutes and I would answer a few questions, mainly what I've done and the choices that I've made to grow my collection to where it is now. Over 300 knives, probably closer to 330 to 340. I'm not exactly sure. It's an estimation, a guesstimation, but it's somewhere in there. Now, before we talk about any of that, I want to welcome you to my channel. If you're a returning viewer or a new viewer, either one, welcome to my channel. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you're spending your quality time with me and my love of knives. And in case you don't know, we're in the middle of a massive giveaway right now. If you like giveaways, really good giveaways, this ain't no typical giveaway where we're just going to give away a knife or something. This is a massive giveaway. We're giving away budgets, we're giving away knives, we're giving away some other stuff. So if you want to be a part of that, then all you need to do is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and then run over to my other video titled Huge Knife Budget Giveaway. Watch that. It's only a few minutes long, and it's all about the giveaway, and it'll tell you exactly the one simple thing that you need to do, and it's absolutely free. All it takes is a few seconds of your time. All right, guys. So I wanted to answer a couple questions in this. Along the way, while I'm telling you guys what choices that I've made and how I've prioritized different things to build my collection to where it is now, I also want to answer another question. I recently asked you all, what 5 knives would you use or build a collection with if you had to start from scratch? What 5 knives would you choose right off the rip to start over with, or recommend to somebody else that they start with? Now, everybody wanted to know what 5 I would choose. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to answer the 5 knives in the budget realm and the 5 knives in the premium realm. And along the way, I'm going to answer a couple other questions as well. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is show you what 5 knives I would use or start with if I started over and I was only doing budget knives. If my budget was limited or whatever else. These are the 5 knives that I would start with. Number 1, the one knife that every collection needs to have, whether it's a full collection, a starter collection, whatever, every collection has got to have a Buck 110 Slim. If I was starting a collection over, I want to start a collection that actually can accomplish a few things. I still want to be able to do EDC. I still want to make sure I have a knife to go out and do camping and hunting with if I ever got to go out and do that stuff with these boys. I don't get a lot of chances to do that stuff. But if the opportunity did arise, I'd want to make sure that I was prepared for it. It's better to have it, not need it, than to need it, not have it. But the Buck 110 is a great knife all the way around. You can do EDC and hunting, fishing, everything else, camping, whatever you need. But it's just a fantastic knife. The 110, the basic gist of the 110 has been the same since it came out. And there's a reason why. Don't fix what's not broken, and the 110 is not broken. All they did with the Slim is they slimmed it down, lightened it up. You still get an amazing blade. It's a basic stainless steel 420, I think, 420 HC. But listen, and I could be wrong about that. I probably am wrong about that, to be perfectly honest. But I'm pretty sure it's 420. But regardless, what they do with their steel, with their stainless steel Buck, they are experts at it, and they get more out. It's like what Spyderco can do with 8CR, Buck can do with like 420. They get the most out of that steel that any knife company could because of their heat treats and other things. They've just been doing it so long, they're great. So the 110 Slim is one of the knives that I would go with. I'd want a knife that just looked awesome. It looked premium, it looked quality, it looks just, it's that knife that you pull out when you just want to show off. What knife would I do that or use for that purpose if I was starting a collection over in the knife budget realm? You all should know what this is, no question. The P801 by Rake. This thing is extremely affordable. I call it the poor man's Sebenza, and it's one of the best budget knives on the market. I've said it a million times, so did David C. Anderson. I actually stole it from him because he said it on Knife Center, and I heard it, and it's the truest thing I've ever heard. If this was an American-made knife, it cost $100 or more. Steel handles, frame lock, 14C 28M blade steel, beautiful blue hardware all over, thumb studs, deep carry pocket clip. It's not reversible, but that's okay. It is a frame lock. I mean, this thing is fantastic. A poor man's Sebenza with excellent action. It looks good. It feels good in the hand. It looks quality. It looks way more expensive than it is. And if I was starting a knife collection over, I'd want to have that one piece that's just the show-off piece. And not show-off piece. Show-off piece is the wrong word. You just want to have that signature piece, like the centerpiece that everything else forms and fits around. The one that all the eyes go to when you look at it. Just boom, that's the knife right there. This is it. Absolutely, the Rake P801. Now, I'd want to have an absolutely all-around EDC knife. A knife, now the Buck 110 Slim, you can do a lot of that with it. No question. Hunting and gaming and fishing and camping and stuff, that's what I'd use that knife for. EDC, I'd want something more fidgety, better action, quicker deployment and stuff like that. The 110, where it's a lockback, it's a little bit slower, a little bit more methodical with opening and closing. I'd want something a little bit more fidgety, a little bit more fun, a little bit more capable, and a better all-around capable knife. No question what that would be. Absolutely, we all know the Raccoon top liner lock. Absolutely the best budget EDC knife on the market. No question. Now, we can talk about the Yonder, we can talk about the Elementum, we can talk about the Penguin, we can talk about David C. Anderson's new knife, the Maximal, which is a fantastic knife. Nothing compares to this knife right here. This is such a good EDC all-around knife. It's just awesome. And look at it. It looks great. You can get different configurations. You can get a satin blade. You can get a G10. You can get micarta, like this one's micarta, whatever. It is a pocket clip that's not deep carry, but the screws are inset into the handle as you see there, and it's reversible. So it's left hand or right hand tip up only. Excellent thumb studs that are orange so they pop, and that action is just phenomenal. So it's fidgety, it's capable. Look at that blade. Look at that capable blade. You want a piercer point, stab, you've got it. You want a slice, you've got it. Food prep, box cut, whatever you're gonna do, this is the knife right here, and you're gonna have fun doing it because look at that action. Fantastic. Now, you want to have a hard use knife as well. You want to have that knife that you can just beat on. The knife that's just a workhorse. It's the one you're going to jerk out if you're going onto a job site, if you're going to be doing something that's a real hardcore task and you're going to be putting your knife through it. You want something that you're not going to beat and bang up your good knives and your centerpiece or anything like that. Well, there's no question what that knife is either. 100% right there. The Spyderco Tenacious. Absolutely, you can't beat it. You cannot beat the Tenacious. For the money that this thing cost, with G10 handles, a 4-position pocket clip, you got your spider hole, you got excellent jimping right there, you got excellent ergonomics. This thing is fantastic. Look at that slicey blade. Look at that piercing tip so you can do whatever you need with it. Fits in any hand. It's just great. It's full-size grip, and I got 2XL hands. All the way around, this is just a fantastic knife. Now, it is 8CR, but again, what they do with their 8CR is incredible. They get more out of 8CR than probably any other knife company out there. The same way that Buck gets the basic stainless steel 420 and 440, they get the most out of those stainless steels. Spyderco gets the most out of 8CR. They do wonders with this. Will you have to sharpen it more? You'll have to sharpen this thing a lot more. Absolutely. But here's the thing about HCR. Somebody even mentioned it today in the comments. Not only is it super easy to sharpen, you can strop it, you can sharpen it with ceramic rods, honing rods, whatever. You don't need a diamond stone to sharpen this like you do a lot of your premium steels and stuff. You don't need something that's super abrasive to sharpen it. You can sharpen HCR with almost a rock. I mean, technically you could if you had to. But also another thing that this commenter pointed out was that HCR takes such a fine edge. It is a razor edge, where a lot of, because of the carbides and stuff in the metal, a lot of, well, not a lot of them, but some steels don't take that really super fine point edge, like razor's edge. Some steels have a hard time doing that. And on a microscopic level, you can see why, because of the grain structure. HCR will take a razor's edge. It's absolutely fantastic. And everybody has to have a fixed blade. You got to have a fixed blade. And if I'm only going to have one fixed blade, because I'm only starting with 5 knives. So some people can say, well, it's got to be an EDC fixed blade. Well, I'm trying to think of my knife collection as an all-encompassing, all-around, take care of every scenario and situation that I come across. I've got EDC taken care of. I've got a show-off piece that I could take out to dinner, or a gentleman's knife or executive knife if I wanted to. I've got a workhorse if I needed it. I've got a knife to go hunting and fishing. You need a knife that's like a survival and camping knife. You already got an EDC knife. Now, if we had 10 knives, then sure, get you a bushcraft knife, fixed blade, and an EDC fixed blade, but we're only going with 5. So one of those knives has to be a fixed blade, and it has to be a knife that takes care of the necessities and needs that none of the other 4 do. And that's why I would choose a knife on a budget level. These are budget knives, and you cannot beat the SRK. You just can't beat it. They use these in the military. I've said it a million times. These things are used in the military for a reason. They're high carbon steel. They're extremely durable, extremely tough. You can chop, you can bang, you can beat, you can baton, you can feather stick, you can food prep. It wouldn't be great at that, but it can do it. It's got a hollow grind, so it's going to be excellent at like feather sticking wood. It's going to be, this thing is just all around a great knife. You can use this as a bushcraft knife. It's not ideal for a bushcraft knife, but it's good enough for a bushcraft knife. You can use it for a survival knife. It's not ideal for a survival knife, but it's good enough to be a survival knife. You could use it if you wanted to, really, as an EDC knife. It's way too big for that, but if you wanted to, I guess you could. You could just use this thing for anything. It's a jack of all trades and an ace of none. So I wouldn't want to go with the knife that is just good at one thing. It's a superstar at one thing. Like bushcraft, this is it. Because you might be in a situation where you need a fixed blade that's not needed for bushcraft. Sorry, the mono's kicking my butt. That's why I would not go with a like a Mora or something, even though those are super affordable, because those are typically designed for bushcraft. And I'd want something for survival as well. And you can't beat high carbon steel, and the SRK by Cold Steel is a fantastic knife. That's the 5 knives that if I was to start a budget knife collection over today, out of all the knives that I have, and I've got a lot of knives that are really super nice and budget level knives that are really nice, but those are the 5 that I'm going with, no question. Absolutely no question. I don't even have to look through my knives. If popped right in my mind, I knew exactly what they were. Knew exactly what the premium knives were as well. But I'm not going to answer that yet. I'll save that till the end. So let's talk about my collection. There's something I need you guys to understand about my collection is this. A few years ago, when I started getting into knife collecting, I was in a bad way. I had been hurt by an accident. I was a pedestrian getting out of a car, walking my little boys into daycare, and I was hit by a vehicle. She plowed into me. I was in a bad way. I was hurt really bad. I spent a lot of time on the couch. My legs would swell so bad I couldn't walk. Most of my time was spent in a wheelchair. I still have a wheelchair in there. A lot of days I get up and I have to get around in my wheelchair. I don't show you guys that. I don't want y'all to see that because I don't want anybody watching me out of pity or anything like that. But you'd be surprised that there's times where I can't get around. So I decided I wanted a hobby. I wasn't doing anything else. I couldn't go camping and fishing anymore. I was in a bad way. I wasn't going out and eating or anything else like that. So the only thing that I had to focus my attention on was the knives. Because I could sit right there on the couch, watch Knife Center, watch Blade HQ, and just look at knives, and then start buying some and playing with them on the couch. I could use them a little bit if I wanted to make some food. I could do it if I wanted to do some EDC stuff around the house. Not really even getting a chance to use my knives. It was really just a collection situation, not even a using situation. Then life took a lot of twists and turns for me. I ended up going from the situation I was in. In some ways it got worse, in some ways it got better. Now I'm a single dad here with these 4 boys every single day, raising them. So I don't go out to eat. I don't go to the movies. I don't go anywhere. So all the money that you guys might be spending on different things and aspects of your life, I spend every bit of that on knives. Every bit. I go nowhere. I do nothing. I almost don't have a life. I have a very full life because of my kids and my family and stuff like that. So I'm not upset about it at all. I love my life. I just chose, I don't need to go out to eat. I'll eat at home and I'll save that 40, 50 bucks and I'll put it towards a knife. I don't need to get a new pair of shoes. The shoes that I've got are just fine. I'll save that $100. I'll put it towards a knife. On and on and on. I make sure my kids have everything they want, whatever they need. The house, the bills paid for. Beyond that, every dime I have goes towards the knives. So that is one of the ways that I can afford the knives. I'm on a very, very tight fixed income, tighter than you can imagine, very fixed income, but I do the right things with my money, so I choose to spend it all on knives. So if you guys did that, then a lot of you all would be able to buy a lot more knives than you do. Because if you actually look at how much you probably spend on a daily basis going out and buying sodas at the store, or some people smoke cigarettes, I don't. Some people have recreational stuff. They'll drink booze every now and then, or beers every now and then, or get a 12-pack on the way home, or they'll go out to eat with their family and all that. Just think about how much money, regardless of what it is, that you spend on a miscellaneous basis on a monthly basis. And take all that money. How many knives could you get on a monthly basis? That's how I get a lot of these knives. Another thing that I do, I want to show you this knife right here. This knife right here is the Max Ace Peregrine S. There's a reason I'm showing you this knife, because I'm going to tell you how my training, my thought process goes. My train of thought, I should say. Not my training, but my train of thought goes. I am a hoarder of knives. I'm a collector, so I want to get as many knives as I can. I know I'm not going to be out here. A lot of you all in the comments are talking about using knives and the best steel and HRC and stuff, and I understand all that. And you know the HRC and how each steel is going to perform in different tasks and stuff because you're actually out there doing that stuff. I'm not. Literally, my knives get used very little. I use them, I carry them when I leave to go to the store, doctor's appointments, stuff like that. General light EDC. I'm not beating up my knives at all. They're not getting put through the ringer. So it's just a collection situation. So I want to get as many knives as I can. If I walk across a knife, somebody's got one for $5 and it's a gas station knife and I can get it and add to my collection, I'm snatching it up. It's a numbers game. Quantity, 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 because I love knives and I want to get them. This one I'm showing you for a reason. When I went on there to get a Max Ace knife, I really like the look at this. I love the look of this blade. That blade is awesome. I love that look. That blade is fantastic. Now, I'm not a big front flipper fan, but I like this knife so much, I wanted one. Now, they had different handles, and they had different blade styles as far as satin or stonewash. But they were all sold out. The only thing they had was Ultem, and I don't like Ultem. Ultem is my least favorite handle material they could possibly have. I would rather have a handle or I would rather have like the Adamas where it comes skeletonized without handles. I would rather a knife come skeletonized with no handles than have Ultim on it. But you'll say, well, then why did you buy it if you don't like the Ultim? Because it was the only one they had. And I wanted a knife. I wasn't going to leave the situation without buying a knife. Because if I left the situation without buying the knife, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be like, all right, I'm going to put that off and I'm going to come back to it later on, and I'll look and see when they're not sold out anymore. I'll keep coming back and checking. Well, then what happens is life takes over. You're no longer in the thought process. You forget. Human nature, by the next morning, you will forget 70% of what you know or what you learned the night before. You'll forget, and everybody's like, no, not me, not me. Trust me, it's a human nature thing. I learned all that stuff in sales. That's why salespeople are always like, now, and they always try to get somebody to buy at the time that they're selling it, because they understand that by the next day, it's no longer a priority, because all that stuff leaves the people's mind. My knives would no longer be a priority. I wouldn't remember to go back and check and keep checking, is this knife still in stock? So if this is the only one that's there, I'm buying it. A lot of people won't do that. And I would encourage you not to do that, because I tell everybody, make your collection your own. Only buy knives that you absolutely like. Don't buy anything to keep up with the Joneses. Make your collection your own, exactly what you want, the knife that you want. If it don't speak to you, if you don't absolutely love it, don't buy it. There's no reason to. Unless you're like me and you're literally just buying as a collection and you're wanting to buy as many knives as you can, because it is about just having a whole bunch of knives. In that situation, then you do want to buy those knives when you run across it. But most people aren't like that. And I wouldn't tell most people to do that. Most people, I would tell you, don't buy it just to buy it. Don't spend money just to spend money. Wait on the knife that you want, because most people aren't going to buy that many knives. They're only going to buy one or two here and there. So you got to make sure that the one or two here and there that you buy are the right knives. Well, I'm not buying one or two knives here and there. Just in the last 2 weeks, how many knives have y'all seen me open? I buy a lot of knives. So I'm going to just hoard, and I'm going to buy these knives, even though they're not the knife that I want. I'll show you something else. This right here, the Kizer Begleiter XL. I absolutely love this knife. I love everything about this knife. Tip to hilt, everything about this thing. I love it all. Everything. I love the size. I love the action. Love this knife. This knife is awesome. I've loved it since I got it out of the box. But guess what? When I got it out of the box and I showed it in the video, one of the very first things I heard was how old this knife was. This knife had been around for a long time. But to me, it was brand new. I didn't know that this knife had been around for a long time, because I've only been collecting for a couple years. So I'm still learning what knives are new and what knives have been on the market for a while. So I learned this knife when I saw it I'd heard some people talk about the Begleiter XL and that it was great and they wanted one and stuff. So when I saw it and it was in stock and I saw it for the price I could get it for, I snatched it up. And I had no idea. So I'm coming and I'm showing it on camera like I've got this awesome new knife, just blown away by how amazing this knife is. And then I heard later on, well, that knife's been out for a while. But you know what? I'd rather do it that way anyways. Because you know what happens? Like the Maximal. I was just talking to somebody earlier in the comments. I've got that new CJRB Maximal. They have the Knife Center exclusive, which is the one that I really wanted. But guess what? It was sold out. So they already taken pre-orders on the next batch that comes in. So they're probably going to be sold out really quick too, because it's a knife that just dropped. All of these knives that come out when they just drop, the first few months, 6 months or whatever, everybody's chasing those knives. That's what everybody's focused on. That's what everybody wants. Not because they're keeping up with the Joneses, just because that's the new knife and they want the new knife. They probably got the old stuff and they want the new stuff because the new stuff is improved. It's got newer action, newer locking systems, newer blade steels, all the other stuff. There's a difference between buying something just to keep up with the Joneses and buying something because it's new and improved and it's just something that you really want. So while all these people are chasing these new knives and they're just sitting there doing that, I'm over here in the back saying, when you all ain't looking, you all just stay focused on those new knives over here. I'm just going to go through and scroll through, and that's available, that's available, that's available, that's available, that's available. They're all old knives that everybody are past. Nobody's looking at these knives anymore because they're all already been on the market and people are past them. Now they're still selling them, obviously, and people still are buying them and stuff, but for the most part, the community has moved on past them. So they're always available. They're usually on sale for better deals. You can get them at discounted prices, which is exactly the situation that happened with this. It was discounted greatly. It was, in stock because nobody was buying this knife. They had moved on to other things. So that's another thing that I do. While everybody else is out looking at all the new stuff, I'm over here buying everything that's in stock that I can get my hands on and just buying it. And is it as cool as the new knife that comes out? Well, in my mind, yes, because they're both just knives. And it's like, give it 2 months and that knife's just going to be as out of date as this one is. And at that point, they're both just knives. They both have locking mechanisms. So at the moment, it's maybe more cool because of the noon factor, but the new factor is the only thing that makes it more cool. I mean, that's not necessarily true. It might just be an absolute awesome knife and just blow the other knife out of the water. And there's an exception to the rule. I'm just saying in general, they're both just knives. So I'll wait on that knife until everybody's moved past it and it's no longer being sought after and everybody's buying it up and it's out of stock and it's full price and it's way up here. I'll wait until it comes down. Now, do I buy knives that are new? I did buy the Maximal. I have bought the blue lines. I have bought some Spydercos and different things like that as they come out. But if you go back and you watch my videos, most of my reveals are knives that have been out for a little bit. They just are. I buy knives that have been out for a little bit. I'm not intentionally doing that. It's just I'm buying the knives that are in stock, and the ones that are in stock are the ones that nobody's chasing anymore. They're all chasing the new stuff, like TJ Schwartz and stuff like that. Those were new. I got those because I wanted them really bad. He has a thing where you can go in there and order how you want it to be made. So I had them made the way that I wanted. And I did that because the batches that he was making kept selling out really quick. So the only way I could get one was to have him make, you go on there and you fill out a form, you pick the handle material and color, the blade material or the blade color, the coating color and stuff, the sheath color. You go on there and pick that. It's like I tell everybody, if you want to make sure that when you go through the restaurant drive-through that you get fresh fries, always order them with no salt. Always order them with no salt. Do you know why? Because they're going to be made for you fresh every single time. Every time. You go through and say, hey, you don't have to worry about, you ever get those fries and they're stale and they're old and you can tell they've been there for a little bit and they're just not very good. Make sure the next time you order, no salt. Now, you can get salt packets and put all the salt you want on them, but that's one way that you'll guarantee to get fresh fries, hot and ready. And the same thing I did with those TJ Schwartz knives because they kept selling out the batches. I just made an order the way that I wanted so that he would have to make that knife for me. And it took a little bit longer, but it shipped to me. And the last thing I'll tell you about something that I do that I'm really, really big on, and I do it constantly. This knife right here, I showed you guys before. This is a Griptilian Mel Pardue limited edition in M4, and it has the AWT aftermarket scales. I think that's right. AWT, is that right? AWT aftermarket scales. I did not put the scales on this thing. It had never been sharpened. The blade was brand spanking new, or not brand spanking new. It was in brand new condition. but it had the scales, and in the box, the original natural G10 scales are in the box. The box even looks brand spanking new. And you know what? I bought this at a daggone pawn shop. And I bought this thing so daggone cheap. I bought it cheap. And I bought a lot of knives at the pawn shop, and that's what I do. I go to pawn shops and I'll get knives like that. I'll go to antique stores. I will go, flea markets are awesome. You'll get so many daggone knives from flea markets and stuff like that. I will go anywhere and look to see if I can find a knife for sale. And I'm going to hoard it and collect it and build up my collection and add to my collection and keep growing and growing and growing. And I'll tell you something else I do. People, when I did the video on the pawn shops and stuff like that, as a suggestion and how much I paid for the knives and the different knives that I got at the pawn shop, and I told everybody, and it was blown away by some of the knives that I'd gotten and the deals that I'd gotten on them. They was like, well, we don't have pawn shops around here, or the pawn shops don't have any knives, and if they do, they're so outrageous. All right, here's a tip for you. Here's a little hint. This is something you can try, and you can try it right now. And I bet you within 48 hours, you'll get some results that'll blow your mind. I would go on Facebook and I would go on Craigslist and I would make a simple post. Hey guys, I'm working on my knife collection. Does anybody, and I wouldn't say the word knife, I would say blade. I'm working on my blade collection. Does anybody have a pocket blade or anything like that that they don't want, that they want to sell or trade or get rid of? I'm looking to buy all that I can get, all that I can find. If you've got one, call me or message me. Message me on here through Messenger. Let me know, and we'll hook up. Don't worry about if you think nobody's going to be interested. Don't worry if you think it's too old and beat up or whatever. If you've got one that you want to get rid of, message me and we'll contact each other. We'll exchange some pictures and I'll tell you if I'm interested. And I would do that, and within 48 hours I'd have like 10, 15 people message me like, I got all kinds of knives. I'll sell you all of them. I had a woman one time tell me, she said, I divorced my husband, and she said, and I kept all of his knives. She said, I've got all of them. I don't know what they're worth, she said, but I know they're worth a lot because we spent a lot of money on those knives. And he took care of me, kept them in the safe and everything else. I never found out what those were because that was not a move I was going to make. I was not going to play on that kind of misfortune for somebody, even if she had needed the money. Just the whole scenario and situation was not something that I wanted to do. I wouldn't want somebody gaining and benefiting that much on my misfortune. That would be horrible. So that was just a situation I didn't want no part of. But you can come across those situations. All you have to do is reach out and people will message you. Also, Craigslist, try it out. You will see. You don't have to go through Blade Binge. Blade Binge, those people, here's the deal with Blade Binge. Everybody says, well, Blade Binge. Here's the deal. Blade Binge is an excellent option if there's a knife you're looking for that you can't find. Blade Binge is an excellent option. Here's the reason why I wouldn't use Blade Binge. Because guess what every person on Blade Binge knows? They know what they've got. They know what it's worth. They know everything about it. They know if that knife is worth $200, they're going to want $200 because that knife is worth $200. And they're going to, when you reach out on Craigslist or Facebook, never take advantage of somebody. Always pay a fair price, or that's my soapbox to stand on. You don't have to, but I believe you pay everybody what it's worth. You don't rip somebody off just because they don't know any different. You give them a fair price. Profit's not a dirty word, and getting a good deal is okay, but there's a difference between just robbing somebody. But those people that reach out to you on Messenger or Craigslist, they just know that they've got knives. They don't know what they're worth. They don't know what they are. So you can really stumble across some real gems and then offer them a fair deal that somebody on Blade Binge might be like, no way, absolutely not. It might be a $200 knife, and you say, hey, I'll give you $110 for it right now. Cash money right now. And they're like, $110 for that? Heck yeah, give it to me. I'll take it. But on Blade Bench, they're like, no, I want the $200. Let's trade. I'll take $200 in trade. But you do. I mean, I haven't bought anything on Blade Bench, so I'm acting like I'm an expert on Blade Bench, and I'm not. I just, from my limited experiences with Blade Bench, they definitely have prices that are more retailish than wholesale and willing and dealing prices, which is what you can get. So those are some of the things that I've done. I'm not rich. I'm on an extremely tight fixed income. Like, I'm 100%, I won't say the next word, but I'm on that kind of a fixed income. I just do the right things with my money, and I prioritize knives as my thing. And that's what I love to do. And I spend my money on my children, my bills, and my knives, and I grow my collection. But then I make sure also to prioritize getting the best deals that I can. And I'm also a dealer, and that also helps because I get huge discounts and get knives that might cost somebody a lot more money through Blade HQ or Amazon. I'm getting at considerable discounted prices. All right, so I'll show you the 5 knives that and you guys might not even care about all that. I've just been asked by several people what choices I make, how I've built my collection, what I've done, am I rich and stuff. So I'm just taking the limited opportunity sitting here to answer those questions, just because I just like talking to you guys and doing videos. All right, so here's the 5 knives that I'm going to build a collection with if I'm starting over, and they're premium. Okay, so you got to have a centerpiece. Like I said, let's get the centerpiece out of the way. The centerpiece is that beautiful piece that's just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And for me, it's the Lion Steel Mito. This thing is fantastic. It's Italian made. It's crown spine. This thing is excellent. Bowler M390 blade steel, carbon fiber, titanium frame lock, milled pocket clip. This thing is so well made. It is so excellent. The tolerances, the fit and finish, it's just next level. That is absolutely my knife that if I'm building a new collection, it starts right there and it's going to go from there. Now, if I want a like an all-around EDC knife that I can just carry in EDC and stuff like that, you know, the Manix 2. I know a lot of people are going to go with the PM2 in that situation, and the PM2 is a great choice as well. I just happen to like the Manix 2 better than the PM2. The PM2 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I just like the Manix 2. You don't get the 4-position pocket clip. You don't get the compression lock. You sacrifice that, but you still get excellent action. You still get all those things that make a Spyderco. This thing is fantastic. It's awesome. It's American made, Golden, Colorado. It's just a beautiful, amazing knife. And the Manix 2 is my all-around light general EDC. And you could do heavy work with this if you wanted to, but that's it. I'd want a knife that I could like go church, executive style, stuff like that. And yes, you could use the Lion Steel Mito for that, but I just love this right here. I love the Osborne 940. I talk about it all the time, and I've said it a million times. The 940 is the best knife that Benchmade's ever made, in my opinion, and I stick by that. In my opinion, not by anybody else's. I'm not saying that it actually is. I'm just saying, in my opinion, it's the best knife that Benchmade's ever made. Did I say Lion Steel? It's the best knife that Benchmade has ever made, the Osborne 940. Benchmade makes really good knives. Some people think that they're extremely overpriced. That's a conversation for a different day, but this thing is awesome. It really is. It's awesome. Dual thumb studs, the Axis lock, and who came out with the Axis lock? The crossbar lock? Oh, that's right.
Benchmade. These things are just fantastic. I would use this as an executive knife, a church knife, a Sunday knife, a just leisure lounging around knife. That's it right there. The last folder I would have, because it's just tough. You could beat this thing up. You could do whatever. It's just a tank. It is a tank. Now, I'd probably not get the carbon fiber. I would probably get a different handle. But right here, the Zero Tolerance 0562 Hinderer Edition carbon fiber. This one is carbon fiber handle, titanium frame lock, 20 CV steel. This thing is fantastic. I love this knife. This was the first really high dollar premium knife that I ever bought, and I have loved it ever since. Sorry, they're beating and banging in there. I love this knife. It's fantastic. This is it right here. That is my beater, just beat it to death workhorse, the 0562. And of course, you got to have a fixed blade. I've already said that. You got to have a fixed blade. Now, this other one, the SRK, was premium, or budget, I mean. This one's going to be premium, but it's going to be the same situation. It's got to be a knife that can do camping, bushcraft, survival, and all those things in between. And if I can only have one fixed blade knife, only one, it's a little big, but I don't care. It's this one right here. That's it. The greatest knife. I love this thing so much. I would probably trade off my kids before I traded this knife off. I'm joking, obviously, completely. But the Lost Trail 5 by TJ Schwartz. You hear that snap? This thing is fantastic. The way that this thing is made, the fit and finish on this knife, it's made out of A2 steel with Richlite handles. It's full tang. It's got the window breaker or whatever down at the end. This is just an absolute beast of a knife. It comes in at $200 and it will do anything and everything you need it to do. Now you can spend a little bit more or a little bit less, and there's plenty of options. Tops has some really great options. There's all kinds of knives that have great options. Just for me, the Lost Trail 5 is the best knife and the way to go. It beats all the Tops and every other knife that I've got. It beats them all. The Lost Trail 5. The only knife that I've got that I would put up to this as being comparable is another TJ Schwartz, the Overland. That's how good these knives are. But that was $300, and I wouldn't so much. You could use that for survival and camping and stuff, but I wouldn't so much use it for that. So that one was out. So this one was $200, and this is the knife that I would use if I was to start over a new collection of 5 knives. This is the fixed blade knife that I would go with, and it's absolutely fantastic. The TJ Schwartz Overland. So there's my 5 knives that are budget, my 5 knives that are premium, and a little bit about my thought process with collecting, how I roll, why I am the way that I am, how I collect my knives, how I prioritize knives over anything else in my life as far as hobbies and stuff like that go, things that I need to buy. I don't buy new games, I don't buy new TVs, I don't buy any of that stuff. I buy knives. That's my passion, that's my hobby. And also, I know this, a TV down the road will not have a resale value. They go down in value every single day. Every month, every year, a TV will go down in value. Now, knives are not a great investment to get your money back out of, because you're never going to get as much out of them as you put in. But I do know this. If something ever happened to me, God forbid, my kids would have no problem selling that thing right there. They'd have no problem selling this or selling any of these. They'd have no problem selling these. They'd have no problem selling this Griptilian right here. All of these are investments that they might not get out what I put into them, but they would definitely make some money off of them if anything ever happened to me and they needed to get rid of them. So guys, that's it. That's my little story. That's my spiel. That's how my collection has got to where it is right now. And again, my collection is well over 300 knives. I don't know exactly how many, and the only reason why I'm guesstimating is because I have some in different bags. Kate's got several, the boy's mom out at her place that I've let her hold and keep, and she likes them and stuff, so I let her take them, and I just don't get them back, but they're still mine. I can get them back anytime. I've got a couple of fixed blades. I've got some really nice fixed blades, a Benchmade and a MKM TPF or something like that, I think it is. A really nice one in the truck. So I just got a lot of daggone nice vehicles, a lot of nice knives. But that's how I've grown them. So I know I just rambled, and this was a completely pointless video. It was just a conversation. There was no point to this, but just a conversation, letting you all know who I am, where I'm at, and my thought process for my knives. That's it. So how do you all collect knives? What are your priorities? How often do you buy a knife? Do you just hold out to buy one particular knife, or are you just do you like the whole idea of quantity and just getting as many as you can and hoarding them? Or do you just want to like buy just a couple just to use and that's good enough? I mean, communicate with me. Tell me how you guys feel about all this stuff. Do you guys ever go to pawn shops and look? Do you buy any of the new knives that come out on the market? Speaking of which, I saw a video today, Knife Center, the top 10 knives that they saw at SHOT Show. Oh man, there is a ProTech Chavez collaboration getting ready to come out, and I want it. There is a daggone K-Bar Dust getting ready to come out. I want it. There's all kinds of them, but that ProTech Chavez collaboration, I want it bad. I cannot wait. I'm getting that sucker. I'll pre-order that. But anyways, guys, I appreciate it. I'm Chris Young, Professional Dad, and I wish you guys all sharp knives and happy lives. I hope you enjoyed this and I didn't ramble too much. Take care.